Hi, my name's Will Smith, and I'm making this recording on September 30th, 2025, in Highlands, BC, which is outside of Victoria in Canada. And I just want to talk today a little bit more about metamorphosis. So, uh, not to start from zero, but I'm in this process. Something is happening to me, which I assume is happening to a lot of other humans. And so I've been in this process for over 20 years. I first became aware that I was getting processed by becoming aware of vibrations, and that happened when I was around 50 years old. So it was kind of a shock to me, and I pretty much had a standard view of life on this planet, what was happening to me. I thought of myself as just a normal person. Now, I just see my whole life and everything else as being different from how I had first perceived it. And now I feel like I'm back to being something like we feel when we're a child. I'm not in control of what's happening to me. Something is happening on this planet. With my previous way of parsing it, it looked like it's gone completely batshit. But I've accepted that now everything that's happening is somehow within the divine order. I see the universe as being a friendly rather than an unfriendly place, and this has come about from my own experience and then reading what others have to say about it. So I think that mainly we're here with this body so that we can experience the world around us, and when we so I think that I've experienced loads of things in my life, and now that I'm a committed meditator, I've gotten to the point where I can realize that my body doesn't just have five senses, but it also has a lot of quantum things going on, which allow me to perceive the world in a different way, that there's more to it than I was taught. So that's part of I think that's a main part of the metamorphosis, is being able to use the five senses that I have, but then come to being aware of other things that are happening. My particular way of stimulating that process within my meditative practice is to use tones. And so I've shown you these I bought 5 of these little oscillators, and I use them to give myself a Schumann resonance 7.83 hertz beat in my body that I feel, and I feel that permeates my entire body and allows me to access. It stimulates I think that it stimulates the quantum processes in my cells, allows them to come out, develop, and that's happened over this past 20-year period, and it's primarily a pleasant. I think it's from oxytocin. So I've written a couple of notes that we want to vibrate. So I have a lot of focus on vibrating and feeling those vibrations in my body. So I think there are a number of different ways to have a practice of becoming aware of your body and waking those quantum sensations up. I know a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I've read, a lot of authors have a practice where they visualize things. So I think that's another way. I don't understand how it works, but the model that I have in my head is that we live in a cymatic hologram. So it's just, we have all these, we're in these waves, and we are brought up to be able to feel the waves, but we have to be trained. We have to be trained by our parents and culture and the world around us that this is what the world is, this is how it feels, and this is what you should be experiencing. And now we're just getting to a point where there are other experiences available, because that's the consensus reality, is that humans are waking up to other ways of being. So one of the ways that I thought of recently to explain how that could possibly be is, if you remember, there used to be, well, I'm 70, so I remember a lot of things that some people aren't going to remember, but we used to have airmail letters that you could buy at the post office, and they had an envelope that was super thin. It was rice paper or something like that, and a single piece of paper inside. They were blue typically, and you would write on the paper, on the very thin paper, and then seal it up in the envelope and send it somewhere in the world. And it cost less than if you, it had a special price because they know what the weight is and how many would fit in the postal bag. But if you were, I remember my grandmother showed me one that a friend of hers had sent her, and the person that wrote the letter had written the words, the sentences in cursive writing across in horizontal rows, and then turned it over and written again on the back, and then rotated it, turned it over again, rotated it 90 degrees, and wrote another layer of text over that. So that would now look vertical if you were holding the page the way you would normally hold a letter to start writing it. I hope that's clear. I probably should have made one to show you. But anyway, and then continued on the back side. And the thing about that was that when you looked at it, when you pull it out of the envelope, it just looks like you're not going to be able to read this because it's just a mess of scribbly lines. But then as you look at it, if you bring it closer to your face and you look at it, your brain is somehow able to sort out all the horizontal lines and not let the vertical lines interfere with it too much. So if you think about that, I tend to think of that as some kind of polarization, like polarized light. But you could think of it as in a different phase. So that's what I think that we're really coming to grips with, is that we've been exquisitely trained to do all the things in our physical reality and to react to be able to navigate in our physical space-time reality. But where we're going to is a different type of reality, and we have to learn to navigate that. We've been learning over many lifetimes with our senses, using our senses and our muscles, everything, how to act in this reality. And now we're going to a different place where we have different agency, a different way of acting upon the world. And from what I've experienced, being out of my body and reading what other people say, it's more of a reality where people and other sentience, other people, other things with consciousness act directly on our reality. So feedback is instantaneous, and this works somehow by us taking in the dark energy, I guess is the way to express it in physics, and reflecting it back out into reality in a way where it amplifies what's happening around us rather than attenuates it. So I've been, these are not original ideas. I mean, somehow they percolate through my brain, and I'm always looking for things to sort of augment that way of understanding it in my mind. And I happened to run across a book that's new to me. I was kind of surprised because it's an old book. It was written originally in 1838, and it's called Buchlein vom Leben nach der Tode. So this is a little book of life after death, and the author is Gustav Feichner, and he was a German scientist, and he was very well known for his, it's explained, the foreword is by Henry James from 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. It was published in English in 1904. So this book talks about I'll just read you from the first page just for fun. Life after death, Chapter 1. Man lives upon the earth not once but 3 times. His first stage of life is a continuous sleep. The second is an alternation between sleeping and waking, and the third is an eternal waking. In the first stage, man lives alone in darkness. In the second, he lives with companions, near and among others, but detached and in a light which pictures for him the exterior. In the third, his life is merged with that of other souls into the higher life of the Supreme Spirit, and he discerns the reality of ultimate things. In the first stage, the body is developed from the germ and evolves its equipment for the second. In the second, the spirit unfolds from the seed bud and realizes its powers for the third, and the third is developed in the divine spark which lies in every human soul, which already here, through perception, faith, feeling, the intuition of genius, demonstrates the world beyond man, to the soul in the third stage as clear as day, through us to obscure, though to us obscure. The passing from the first to the second stage is called birth. The transition from the second to the third is called death. So I see this as being something that people have to get trained to be able to see that this is possible. So once you start going down this path and you realize, oh, I'm sort of out of control. There's something happened to me that's not in my normal reality and that is happening to me rather than something that I chose. So, and when you look around then, you can see that other people are going through the same thing, and everybody's process is exactly the same, except it's completely different. So it's hard to recognize, but you can see that people are getting knocked around and challenged, and their old ways of thinking are out the window. No, this doesn't work anymore. At least that's what I see. So a lot of this is becoming okay with it. That's how I stay in a relatively sane state. I'm simply seeing that this is part of what this body is capable of doing. So I have to reject certain assumptions that I had made before in my life. Like I had just taken it, I took biology, and I just, even though I was in churches where it was taught that evolution is eyewash, I still pretty much accepted it just because that's the egregore we live in. That's our consensus reality, and it's told to us over and over and over. But now coming out of that I can see that there is some benevolent force or power or consciousness in the universe that loves me and that wants me to become more conscious. I can see that this body is a lot more than I was told. It's not just the end result of billions of years of evolution. It was designed to do certain things. So once you get to a certain point, you've been trained to use all your senses. Well, if you get out of your body, one of the weird things that happens to you is you still have your senses. How is it possible that I can see but I don't have any eyes? How is it possible that I can hear when I don't have ears? Well, that's not the first thing that comes to you, but after a while you realize, wait a minute. So that means that your consciousness has been in bodies long enough that it knows what to do in order to parse out those signals that are coming from the world around us and interpret those as sight or sound. And now we're being asked to learn more than that we're asked in quantum physics. Everything is everything. So we are part of the world, and that's the main change that's happened to me, is that I realized I am the world. I may just have a very tiny little vote in how things are in the world around me, but nevertheless, I am the world. My consciousness is what allows me to, my consciousness sees the world and experiences the world through my body. In the appendix of Itzhak Bentoff's book, Stalking the Wild Pendulum, he talks about how vibrations are really what's important, and getting this vibration going in your spine is the key to evolving, because there are processes that are going on in your body. Once you hit this tipping point, there are processes that start up this, resurrection process is one of the normal words that people use. But whether you're reading Father Tiso's book about the rainbow body, or there are a few other books that actually talk about resurrection, you can see that there's a process that is dying, but there's also a process of metamorphosis. And if you realize that your body is going to aid you in your metamorphosis, then you can see it in a different light. You can see it in a much more friendly way, because you can see, even though I'm old and my body doesn't work very well anymore and I hardly have any energy, it just doesn't matter, because what really matters is that I'm feeling my new body growing inside. And Feichner talks about this. He talks about how your new body permeates your spirit permeates your entire body. And you can see that this is stuff that we don't talk about scientifically today, because we don't see that spirit part of it, the spirit structure. So I'm just going to wind this up here today. I wanted to just get out a few more things. Again, I'm just trying to integrate what I see now. I was raised a certain way, and now I'm in that metamorphosis stage. I'm in my chrysalis. My body has become a chrysalis instead of something that a robot that I can act with. So I'm just feeling all the places in my body that are changing, and the different energy, all the lightning bolts and the energy flow orgasms that are running around everywhere in my body, and just doing exploration with that. Another one who talks about visualizing different things in your body is Mantak Chia. He has a complete set of books on developing your spirit. So thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you when I feel like it again. Cheers.